Okay, so it's time for the next part in our fencing series. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you today. It is an early, cool morning in March 2020. So here we are today. We're going to continue our fencing series. We have some help today. We have our son Austin and his girl Nikki with us today. So you'll probably see them in and out of a couple of the videos we've got coming up here. But today what we're really focused on, we're focused on showing you how we're going to be installing our H-braces as well as measuring for our gates. So that's what we have coming up for you today. So before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and link our series here where we're talking about fencing. So today we're going to be focused on H-bracing and also measurements for gates. So that's what we're going to be showing you today. Before I do that, I'm going to show you kind of what we've done so far. So in the last video, we showed you where we put our posts in. If Lori wants to scan that way, you'll see our corner posts back in the corner there. So what's behind me here would be the west side of the farm. It's the longest length that we have on the farm, it's just over 600 feet. What you see here would be an H-brace that is set at where we're going to cross the farm here. So we've got an H-brace done there. We're going to need to come across here. We're going to have a gate here. So we're going to show you how we're going to get the gate measured for today. And then we're going to also show you how we are doing our H-braces. So obviously we've talked about this before. Lori and I have never done fencing before. Right now, I think we've got 4 total H-braces set, which includes that corner. We've got several to do here today, and we want to make sure we utilize our help to get that done. So we're going to show you how we're going to measure for our gate here at the center point of the farm. Now, if Lori wants to scan that way, what we have here is we have our primary entrance to the back of the farm. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to make it out on video or not, but you can see where we have our H-braces there set at the entrance. We have a road that we have here. It's a 12-foot wide road that we want to make sure we keep clear but have fairly easy access for wood chip deliveries and things like that. Wood chips are behind us here, so we want to make sure they can easily get back in here to do wood chip deliveries. So we'll have a gate at the front and we'll have a gate right here. So we need to make sure we have our H-brace set up so that it's even with this side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do some rudimentary measurements for our gate. So let's go ahead and bust that out now. Okay, so you saw us go ahead and make a rudimentary measurements. So all we're really trying to do is just make sure that we have enough space to get these 2 gates in there. So these are 2 6-foot gates. We got these from Tractor Supply. We did talk about those in the supply video in this series. So really all we're doing right now is just making sure that the H-brace we have set up on either side will accommodate these 2 6-foot gates. So I think we have enough space now. So what Austin and I are going to do is we're going to get a couple of holes dug with the auger and then get some posts placed. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's get to work. Okay, so we're done. I'll tell you what, it was great having Nikki and Austin here to do those 2 posts because it's so much faster with 4 people. So either way, we got these done. So now we need to do, you can see, they're nice and stable. So they're not going anywhere. There's no movement at all. However, because we have a run that's going this way, that's a good 300 feet, and we have a gate that's gonna have to be on the other side, we're gonna need to get an H-brace in and basically double reinforce it. So we're gonna go ahead and show you how we're doing H-braces here on the farm. So the first thing we need to do is we need to measure between the posts, get a measurement for our crossbar, and then we're gonna go cut the crossbar in the back. So all you're gonna see us doing now, making measurements, making cuts, and coming back. One other thing I wanna mention, so you saw when we came back here, put these in, just before that we showed you cutting these logs. So what we found is we're always off by a few inches, but we wanna make sure that our posts are always right at about 5 feet, which will make them even with our 6-foot posts. Once we get the 6-foot posts a foot in the ground, they'll be 5 feet tall. So we wanna make sure that our posts that we're dealing with out here are the same size and the same height so you get a nice clean look. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and measure and get our crossbar cut, come back to you. So what you just saw, you saw us taking the measurements and cutting our cross post. So we have a cross post down here. I believe that's a 3-4 cross post that we're putting in. As far as the height, we have it here at probably right at about 4 feet, maybe a little above or below, but either way, the brace is gonna be here. What we're using as far as the spike, this is a 3/8 inch by 1 foot nail. So we're going to take this nail, put it in the outside, line it up with that cross brace, and we're not going to nail it in all the way because when we put our support straps across it and pull this together, we want to make sure that those holes I pre-drilled in that cross brace have a little bit of space. That way this can come together if it needs to make sure we're nice and tight in here. So I'm going to get out of the way because we got helpers here today, so we're going to let Austin and Nikki. Now Nikki has never used a hammer before, ever?
I think like a couple times.
Okay, so according to her, she's used a hammer a couple of times. So we're gonna go ahead and test out her ability to put a nail in this hole. So I'm gonna help her out. We'll have Austin on the other side. Get these set so we can get our cross brace in. So you can see we're done with that. So we got the H-brace in. You can see there's a little bit of movement here, which is fine. That's not an issue. We're gonna pull these together with our wire. So you can see we left these nails out quite a bit. I wanna make sure we have plenty of space inside that pre-drilled hole to make sure as these pull together, it's got space to move. So what I have down on the ground will be the rest of the materials we're using today. You'll see some fence staples there. So we've got those guys we're gonna be using. You'll see that in a moment. We have 12.5 gauge high tensile wire, so we're going to be using that as our strapping, and I've got some fencing tools there. In addition, we've got some 3/8 inch rebar, so that rebar is what I'm going to do to twist and tighten the wires to pull these two posts tighter together. So you're going to see all of those steps here as we go. So we're going to go ahead and get to work, get these straps attached, and we'll show you how we're going to tighten and finish this up. So you saw what we did there. So we went and have this stretched. You can see it's definitely nice and loose. Now this is high tensile wire, so it doesn't really stretch. What I'm really trying to do right now is just tighten the two posts together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this rebar. Now this is a 3/8 inch rebar. Ideally it probably should be a 1/2 inch. However, I am gonna nail this to this crossbar just to make sure it doesn't come loose at all. So I wanted to make sure I can get my fencing staples through it. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this. Now what we're gonna do, and again, lots of videos on YouTube of this, that's how I learned it myself. What I wanna do is I wanna make sure as I have this set, you'll see it here in a second, I have it set on this inside. I have my barbed wire that's gonna be on the outside. This has a tendency to hang out just a little bit, and I don't want it to interfere with stretching that barbed wire. I don't want it to be too much higher than this. Lori's really into aesthetics when it comes to this, so I want it to look as clean as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this and have it set about there. So we'll go ahead and tighten this now. And I'm gonna get my face out of the way. So I'm gonna test it, and that's gonna look, that's about right. I can already hear this coming together. Okay, it's real snug. Okay, so you can see that's nice and tight. What I wanna do is just test my post. You can see it's still gonna spin a little bit, so it hasn't come together completely. And I got a little bit of give. So now you can see I can't spin this cross brace. So essentially I've already basically brought these two posts together, made it nice and tight. I can see I've got just a very, very slight bend in my rebar here, which I'm not worried about. So now what I'm gonna do, nice and snug. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put a staple right here to keep this from moving. We're gonna have to do this exact same thing going the other direction. The reason being is I have a gate that's gonna be hanging off of this brace here, and then of course we have the wire that's gonna be pulling this direction at the same time. So all we're gonna do is do this exact same thing all over again, going the other direction. When we're done, we'll come back to you and show you what it looks like when it's done. So we're done with the H brace. So we've got the double bracing here, got it strapped in nice and tight. I went ahead and hammered in the nails a little bit further. Still gonna leave a little bit of space here just to make sure that we're hanging on here nice and tight. Push the staples in down here, and everything is nice and snug. I mean, this is really, really tight. It's gonna go absolutely nowhere. At least that's the plan. You see we have these set, we have the other H brace, which was actually already completed, and now we have our spacing for our gate. So we have our gates down on the ground there. Now, obviously the gates, we're not gonna place the gates yet. Main reason is we have barbed wire that we need to bring across the front of this H brace here. We need to make sure we're not gonna be interfering with us pulling the barbed wire, getting that nice and snug on that side. So that's gonna be about it for today. Now, obviously, we still have a lot of work today, but we wanted to make sure we broke this up a little bit for you guys. And for those of you who are working on this, like we had said at the beginning of this series, we have never done this before. So fencing is brand new to Lori and I. Now this week, during the week, we did set a couple of H braces, much like the one that you see there, and we set a couple of H braces in the front. So what you saw today was a few days worth of trial and error and a few days worth of a little bit of experience, and you can see I think the end product is okay. Not professional, but okay. Either way, H braces are done, gate is ready to go in, so of course, next thing would be, let's get some barbed wire going. However, that's not today. That'll be the next time around. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, we post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That's a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. So we're going to go ahead and show you how we measure for our fencing, or specific. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we measure for our fencing gate. I'll try that. Third time's the charm.
Is it just me or is it coming towards me?
Brace. We'll show you how we do H braces. Yeah, let's try that again. Mumble, mumble. He's always been a little noisy, hasn't he?
Hold on. Okay.
Okay, Austin's done. I can finish. Done and done.